So this is a small video on the Dodge starter problems that I've encountered, that I'm sure other people will encounter at some point. So pretty much that's your starter the way it would go together. This gear goes inside here. Obviously this isn't seated all the way. Back here is your brushes, which I'll show you later. Inside the starter itself, this is the solenoid, and you can see the cover over there. I just gave it a fresh coat of paint, so it's kind of, but you can get the general shape of it by the shape of the holes. Down deep inside there you'll see another hole, which is where this ball goes inside of. Don't want to lose that. This is the gasket that goes on here. Try not to damage that. I don't even know where you could get that, but all my replacement parts came from Larry B's. He's a good guy. Definitely recommend him. I keep all my hardware in here, but this is the plunger that goes inside. The ball goes down in there, and then this plunger goes down in there like that, and the cover holds it down. And two things you want to keep an eye on are the ball and this spring right there. This plunger gets replaced, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But pretty much you take your 3 screws out, and then they're Phillips head, and then you're going to want to take these nuts off each side. This one here and this one over here, and they're 17 millimeter. I had to use a deep socket to get this side. I got this side with a shallow socket. As you can see, I kind of chewed that up a little bit, but it's not too bad. So but they don't need to go back on super duper tight, so you don't need to go killing them. So you'll take these out, if I get it today, and you can pretty much see the differences in them already. But yeah, so take that out, okay, and I'm going to clean the junk out of the inside of there, but if you get a good look at that, you can see that that's really worn away pretty bad. It's like paper thin almost. That's, I don't know exactly why, but that's part of the problem. And then take this guy out. I don't know exactly how it comes out. I haven't taken it out yet. There's a little wire right here that goes back there, so you definitely don't want to go tugging on anything too hard. Okay, so we'll take that off, and I like to designate them left and right side because they are different. Alright, so basically that's everything apart. There's the solenoid, empty. You got to watch this little wire here when you pull this contact out. There's a little wire here with a piece of metal on it. Definitely don't want to bend that or break it. And watch these little washer things, because this came out with my stud. I actually had to give my stud a little hammer love to get the stud out of the contact itself. This is the old one. Beat. This is the other side old one. Pretty good. These are your 2 new ones from Larry B. They're, you know, they're good. They're nice. Good product. And then it's pretty much just the same thing in reverse to put them in. Alright, so here we go. Got contacts installed. Couple notes. Definitely don't want to Godzilla tighten these. You don't need to. There's just, you don't have enough to bite on here with the socket. There's just no reason to. I mean, snug, you know. I know a lot of people have a problem with over tightening, but this is something you really wouldn't want to do that on, because I can see a high potential for breakage if you go real tight. But anyway, another note is when you do this stud, you can see down in there, that little piece of plate between the stud and the contact, want to make sure the contact goes between it and, I guess, this insulator, and then the stud goes through. And then this side that goes to your battery cable, it's actually splined on the let me see if I could, yeah, you can see it there, those little cuts. It's splined, so it'll bite itself in. You won't be able to push it all the way in. You'll have to get the nut on and then tighten it, and it'll suck itself in. And, you know, like I said, again, not too tight. Alright, so now for the plunger install. First of all, old guys on the left, new guys on the right. You can kind of see not a whole lot of difference going on. This is another Larry B's product. All my stuff that came from him today. Nice, you know, new OEM. Basically, first thing you're going to want to do here is I'm going to want to grab my starter, and I clean the starter out a little bit. I mean, not a whole lot you can do. It's gonna get dirty again anyway. But I'm gonna drop this ball down in there. Okay, and then all it is, spring goes on the rod of the plunger, and you just gotta find that hole, and then the plunger goes in. All right, this is your brushes right here, contacts and brushes. It's a piece of wire that goes from one of the contacts to this field winding. Same thing on the other side. Sorry, close. See that? Okay. This is the Larry B's one. And I put one of the contacts with the tail on it in, kept the other one out. And this is going to go on here. Line the hole. Definitely pay attention to the way you line it up. Line the holes up, threaded holes, bolt holes. So that's going to go on like that. Now comes the part that I'm a little nervous about, which is cutting these off. And you're going to want to cut them off like as close to this winding field as you can. So, but anyway, so what I did here was I took tin foil, just normal household tin foil, and folded it a couple times, probably about 3, and stuck it inside the starter area where I was soldering. And as you can see right there, it did actually start to melt. So, because I'm using this Burns-O-Matic just pocket butane torch, and I'm using some 6040 just Radio Shack solder. This is pretty thin. I bought this thicker stuff. Don't even waste your money on it. It's not even really worth it. This thin stuff works great. It's the same thing, and it just melts a lot easier, and you don't have to go getting crazy with the torch. I have it also set on the lowest setting for gas. So I took my contact. Actually, what I first did was lined my inside with tin foil. Then I cleaned this area with, if I can find it somewhere, here it is, a piece of just, I don't know, some like emery cloth. It's pretty, you know, it's not crazy coarse. You can use a Scotch-Brite. You can use whatever you got. Took a little brake clean once I was done. Just gave it a quick little wipe down. Then, I don't know how many people come from electrical fields or not, but I did something that's called tinning. And it's, I actually took a glob of solder. I took some of this. I heated this area up here. I need a pointer. I heated this area up here without the contact. Got a glob of solder on there. And that's, as you can see here, this is still really hot. That's the old, where the old contact came from. So I soldered right next to it. I also faced it this way because of the way it mounts into the brush itself. So anyway, got my glob of solder on. I heated from the back, front, and this way. And, you know, it was a pretty good glob. I don't know how to explain how much it was, but you could see there the thickness of it, that it was a good amount. Then I took my contact itself, and I just kind of laid it over here, like this one. I laid it over like this, and I tinned this as well. So I heated this up, and I added a little bit of solder until it became, you know, kind of silverish like that right there. This makes it easier to bond the two of them together once you go to solder this, because all you have to do is heat this glob up. Once you see it start melting, this gets very hot, but take this and put it in the glob and then heat this up as well, and the two soldered surfaces, will bond themselves together, because obviously the solder's heated on this area and this area, so they'll bond together. If you pull the torch away once they're mated and blow on it for a good 5 seconds, it'll cool very quickly, because this contact gets super hot super fast. Just ask my fingertips. So that's pretty much it. And now I'm going to try, and I think the best way to do this is, I'm not 100%, I'm not a starter guy first of all, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think what I'm going to want to do is take this contact out, solder it on separately, and then finagle the brushes on. But we'll take you to that in another segment. Just let me fiddle with it, and you'll see how. I'll let you know how hard or easy it is. Alright, this one went a lot easier actually so far. But I try and take you through the steps. I wish you could see me doing it, but whatever, it's cool. So this is the contact with the tinned end. There's a little bit much on there. And there is the winding with the tinned end And you can see right there, oh, it's still hot. You can see right there I burned a little bit of the tin foil. That's why I recommend using it. I mean, granted, it's sitting on top of a tape measure, which is probably the worst spot for it, but whatever, it's working. All right, so you can see I got a little hot right there, a little hot right there. Tried to keep everything else pretty well under control. You see my solder there. It's good tight joint. So I was going to try and get some back in there, but if you got a joint that big and it bonded good to this base copper plate, because it's going to bond good to the braided copper, it's thin strand. So yeah, you just get a little solder in there, man. Boom, you're done, and that's the money. Well, you guys missed all the fun, and by fun I mean getting those brushes back around that part of the motor. They're easy. Well, kind of easy to get over this bearing, which is not hard, but then you got to expand them even further to get them over this motor magnet thing. So, and what I ended up doing was I took this 1-inch socket and just you really just got to work it. You got to get it onto the bearing, and then the motor will be sticking out, this part of the motor, the windings will be sticking out to about here. Then I work the socket in to the brushes, and after I got the socket in there, pretty much open all the way. They're just, if you had a 1 1/16 socket, it'd be perfect, but